You're trying to be the best rider you can be to unlock that ultimate joyride, but maybe you're a little too busy to get out and practice as much as you want. I get it. Well, in this video, we're gonna cover 5 basic skills to help you unlock that ultimate joyride. Welcome back to Joy of Bike. I'm Mike, joined again by Chase Willie, and in this video, we're gonna cover a handful of fundamental skills that are gonna help you excel as a rider and have that much more fun out there on the bike.
So what are the 5 things that we're gonna cover? They're all fundamental skills, starting with cornering, braking, riding slow, the bunny hop, and the manual.
And to execute these skills, we don't need much at all. All we need is our bike of choice, a bike with flat pedals on it, in fact, our helmet, and a flat surface to practice those skills on. So, why are we practicing these skills in a parking lot? Well, it's really simple. If we can master these skills here in this parking lot, we can apply them literally anywhere. Plus, everyone has a flat surface near them that they can utilize.
You know, I actually have so much fun playing around in a parking lot. I honestly sometimes catch myself having more fun here than I do actually out on the trail. It's nice to kind of brush up on skills that you haven't touched on in a while, and you kind of get lost in the process.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more. In fact, every time we've done one of these tutorial videos recently, we do end up playing around in the parking lot for an hour or two afterwards and having the most fun.
We're gonna start things off with cornering. Now, this is a pretty fundamental skill to mountain biking especially, but it's definitely a fundamental skill to BMX or gravel riding as well. And to do this, we're gonna use 2 markers. And in our case, we're gonna use
2 bags of traction coffee, which is roasted by riders for riders to help you fuel your fun. But you can really use anything, whether it's a rock you found at the parking lot, maybe some chalk markers or cones, whatever you have handy.
So we're gonna take our markers and we're gonna set them about 15 feet away from each other. These are gonna end up acting as the apex or the inside of our corners that we're gonna use to practice. And what we're really trying to do with these markers is develop consistency. Having them mark out our corners is gonna let us revisit the same types of corners over and over again and really drive home the cornering technique that we're about to develop. Now, the goal with this drill is to get really comfortable with smooth, consistent S-turns. The bags provide perfect markers on the inside of both a left and a right turn, so we can practice turning both ways in a really consistent fashion and really get this cornering skill dialed in.
So let's start by covering a few things to keep in mind when we're cornering, starting with keeping our eyes up. So when it comes to our eyes, we always want to be keeping them up. And in this instance, as we're entering the first corner, we want to be looking with our eyes at the second corner. And as we apex the second corner, our eyes want to be looking forward to the exit zone or where we're aiming to go after the corner.
The main goal here is we do not want to be looking directly down at the bag that we're turning around. Always keep your eyes up, looking forward, looking at the next obstacle, no matter what you're doing.
And to build on top of what Chase just said, if your eyes are pointed down, you're more likely to either miss initiating your turn or you're going to turn too sharply.
The other thing to keep in mind when we're entering corners is to keep our outside foot down, which means our inside foot is going to be up. Now, this will really help shift your body weight to the outside of the bike, which will really help maintain traction in really loose corners. It also keeps your pedal on the inside from striking any stray rocks that you might come across through the corner. Now, to actively demonstrate why it's important to keep your weight on the outside of the bike to maintain traction, we came over to some dirt to show a bit of a leverage test. If I keep my weight on the inside of my handlebar, lean the bike over and push on it, it's gonna be a lot easier for my front wheel to break traction than if I keep my weight over the outside handlebar and push directly down on it. I have so much more traction and my body weight is pushing directly into the ground rather than trying to sweep the bike out from under itself in the corner. Now, the last thing to keep in mind with cornering is braking. A good rule of thumb to keep in mind is that your bike can either corner or it can brake, but it can't really do both effectively. You'll just end up losing traction in the corner and it's not gonna be any fun. So as you go into these corners, especially if you're coming in with speed, try to brake before the corner, then lean the bike over, go through the corner, and then brake before the next corner, lean the bike over, and then go through that next corner. Brakes, off brake.
Now that we've covered how we can effectively brake when it comes to cornering, let's cover how we can brake effectively elsewhere. So to cover braking, we're gonna use our same two markers set up at the same distance to effectively create a stop pad.
Knowing how to brake effectively will completely revolutionize your riding. You'll be able to switch from being on your brakes the entire downhill to being able to apply really serious braking with pinpoint accuracy. And it'll completely change the way you picture rock gardens or corners, and you'll end up riding a lot less fatigued.
To begin practicing braking, we're gonna start off by pedaling. This is a good spot to get your workout in for the day. And we're just gonna sprint and basically go as fast as we're comfortable going towards our stop pad. Once we reach the first bag, we are gonna apply brake and attempt to stop before the second bag. Now, we're not just gonna grab a fistful of brake here. We are going to finesse the levers and attempt to not skid or get tossed over the bars, but effectively stop from here to there.
Now, I was just thinking too that this is kind of a fun drill to do with a buddy, because you can turn it into a bit of a competition. Like, who can ride in the fastest and stop the quickest?
Ooh, I like that.
You know, like start with the bags perfectly together and then start like...
It's like a game of limbo, but braking.
Exactly.
That's fun, I like that.
Now, as Mike said, to stop effectively, we don't want to just slam on the brakes. We want to start to really modulate our brake levers. What we mean by this is pulling the brakes just to the point where we can feel the pad make contact with our rotors. And this is where we're gonna really play with our brake modulation and figuring out where this balance point is. Now, when it comes to brake modulation, a great place to start is just 50-50 front and back braking. Too much front brake will result in pitching over the handlebars or losing traction with the front tire. And the same thing can happen with the back brake. Too much back brake will result in a skid by breaking traction on the trail, which is not what you wanna do. Now, as you get comfortable with this 50-50 front and back braking and your riding skills start to progress, you can start playing around with a little bit more advanced ratios, like 75% front brake and 25% back brake. This really just kind of depends on the terrain that you're riding, how quickly you want to stop, and how comfortable you are on that bike. With more powerful braking techniques means that you need to change your body weight accordingly. Just like anything on the bike, we really want to make sure that most of our body weight is planted on our feet over the bottom bracket of the bike. This is the most central location and keeps us really perfectly balanced to do anything that we want on the bike. And with braking, there's no exception. The more powerfully we engage the brakes, the more we want to keep our weight back, which keeps our weight driving into our feet instead of our hands. If our weight drives into our hands, that's what really pitches us forward. But if we drive our weight into our feet by keeping our body weight back, we'll stay planted on the bike, and it'll actually end up keeping maximum traction on the tires as well.
Now that we're riding slower thanks to proper braking, let's talk about riding slow. Now, don't click away here. We love going fast too, but to properly go fast, we need to learn how to go slow. So once again, we're going to be using our markers spaced 15 feet apart. And for this drill, we are going to attempt to get from our first marker to our second marker as slowly as possible. Now, this is a great opportunity to implement quarter cranks as you're slowing down too much, and those will really help you through technical rock sections on trail or things like that. But keep in mind, we're attempting to get from bag A to bag B as slowly as possible. So at this point, you're probably looking at your screen thinking, why do I need to practice riding slow? This doesn't look like it's gonna help me. But I promise you it will, especially when it comes to slow uphill technical sections through rocky or loose gravel parts on the trail. A thing to practice while you're doing this is keeping your eyes looking forward and your head level, looking towards that end zone, and really managing speed and utilizing quarter cranks to help you figure out how to get to that end zone. Like the game Chase mentioned earlier, when it it came to braking, this can be made into a fun game as well. You and a friend can time yourself to see who can take the longest to get from bag A to bag B without putting their foot down. So implementing something like a track stand in the middle or whatever is totally fair game, but this really helps you hone in and dial in your balance.
Why is balancing like this so cool? Well, to be honest, side-to-side balance on a bike is very similar to front and back balance on a bike, and you need to know how to balance side-to-side before you can start balancing front to back. And front to back balance is really important for the manual, which is what we're gonna get into next. We have a full video going over how to manual right here. So if you really want an in-depth tutorial on how to do the manual properly, go check that out. But for here, we're really just gonna focus on how it can be practiced. This may come as a surprise, but we're gonna end up using the same exact markers for this drill as well. Set up a little manual pad for yourself at whatever distance you'd like. Try to do that manual, and by the time you get it 3 times in a row, add another 5 feet to that, and then another 5 feet, and so on and so forth. The goal here is to create just a challenging distance for you to really try to work on your manuals and dial them in and keep on challenging yourself.
So if you're proficient at the manualing and you're looking to practice something new, you can start by incorporating some flair with something like a bunny hop at the end of the manual. This is one of my favorite things to practice when I'm in the parking lot, and it's something really cool you can add onto a line at the skate park or while manualing and bunny hopping up a rock on the trail.
When doing the manual, remember, do not be afraid to loop out. This is a really common and frequent practice in the manual. You're gonna be doing it through your entire manualing career. We do it all the time. It's just a part of it. So get comfortable with it, practice it on flat pedals specifically.
As we get more proficient at the manual through this type of practice and we start striving for longer manuals, something to keep in mind, which is a critical piece to long distance manuals, is once again head and eye position. So keeping our head up and our eyes level, looking forward at the end zone or the destination that we're attempting to manual to, is really going to help us. As we start getting tired or the longer we're in a manual, it becomes natural to kind of want to drop your head, and you'll notice as you do that, the front end will ultimately drop. So work on keeping that head up along with your eyes. And last but not least, we are going to practice the bunny hop. Having a good bunny hop is going to change the way that we approach obstacles in the best way. In fact, if you're looking to add jumping to your skill set, having a good bunny hop is paramount. If the bunny hop is a skill that you're looking to add to your skill set, or maybe just brush up on, we did a full video where we break the bunny hop down into its most simple form to make it easy to learn, and you can check that video out right here. But if you're already pretty comfortable with the bunny hop skill itself, the parking lot is a great place to take it to really refine it. Getting out here and practicing it, doing 15 to 20 per session, is not only a great way to really sharpen that skill, but it's a great workout at the end of the day. As we begin to wrap this video up, we want to touch on the fact that videos like this, where we're practicing skills on a flat surface, they may not appear as the most sexy or cool, but there's a good reason for it. And when you have a busy life or a busy schedule, being able to build something like this into your routine where you're heading out to a parking lot for at a minimum of 5 to 10 minutes a day, it's really going to help you level up your skills and comfort on the bike.
Yeah, you can think about all of the things that we covered here as a personal routine, where if you do have that 5 or 10 or 15 minutes to spare, you can just come out here and practice these 5 things, and I promise you it'll make the world of a difference when you actually apply these things out on the trail.
Totally. I want to mirror on that as well, because growing up, I know for myself, that's when I really developed the bulk of my bike skills. And I spent hours a day, because obviously I had that time in my life, but hours a day riding on a flat surface. And I really dialed in skills that I was able to take elsewhere. And to build upon that statement right there, the reason that we really focus on these flat ground skill building sessions is because any skill you develop here is fully transferable to an obstacle, a ramp, a jump, anything you're gonna find out there basically in the world, at a trail, at a skate park, wherever. However, when you learn these skills on a ramp, a rock garden, wherever it may be, they're not necessarily transferable back to the parking lot. So what we're doing here is building an incredible foundation for us to build a house of skills upon.
Yeah, and we know that we're pretty lucky here in Colorado. We have access to a bunch of skate parks, a bunch of bike parks, a bunch of trails, but we're well aware that not everybody has access to those things where they live, but most people do have access to a flat ground parking lot. So like Mike said, if you can build skills here where you have no assistance from other obstacles, you're really building that foundation where you can really apply them to those obstacles that you come across with on the trail or the bike park or whatever it might be.
Find a parking lot near you, get to work. Thank you guys so much for riding with us and developing some skills today in the parking lot. We had an absolute blast. If you enjoyed this video, cruise down and hit that like button. If you want to see more content like this in the future, subscribe and don't forget to ring the notification bell. And I would love to hear what skills you're going to be working on in the parking lot, so comment that down below. We'll catch you on the next one. Later.
Now, if you're brand new to mountain biking, a lot of the skills that we just covered are gonna be great things for you to start practicing in a parking lot. If you just bought your first bike, click the link right here. We have a great video detailing exactly the steps to take if you just got that new bike and wanna start getting out for your first rides. If you wanna learn how to start cheating the system and figure out how to gain speed without pedaling your bike, click the link right here. That's a cool technique called pumping that we covered not too long ago, so we would really love to see you guys over there. Till next time, thank you guys for being here. Love you, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.